4 years ago, we published a video about an electric vehicle startup called Faraday Future. It's now high time to revisit the company as the stories become very interesting. First, we'll give a very brief recap of what we covered in the original video. Faraday Future was founded in California in 2014. Its founder was a Chinese internet entrepreneur and billionaire named YT Jia. In 2017, they unveiled their fully electric SUV called the FF91. At this point, Faraday Future was primarily funded by YT Jia's personal fortune. They planned to build a massive factory in Nevada to produce hundreds of thousands of FF91s. However, YT Jia's personal fortune quickly ran dry, and they cancelled the plans for the Nevada factory. For the next few years, Faraday Future lacked the funds to set up mass production facilities, and teetered on the brink of bankruptcy. In 2021, Faraday Future got a second lease on life when they went public by merging with a SPAC. The transaction valued the company at $3.4 billion. With SPAC funding, they continued with their plans to build the FF91 electric SUV. Progress has been slow. As of 2025, they've delivered approximately 16 vehicles, generating minuscule revenue. Since going public, Faraday Future's stock price has declined by approximately 100%, and its number of shares outstanding has increased 5,000-fold. Despite the disastrous share price performance, Faraday Future maintains a following of fanatical retail investors, who continue pumping money into the company. In this video, we'll look at how Faraday Future became a meme stock, and how this allowed the company to raise hundreds of millions of dollars from retail investors, thereby allowing it to survive for far longer than anyone ever expected. Investors who bought shares of Faraday Future suffered a near total loss in their investment, but on the flip side, some investors sold the stock short and bagged massive gains as the share price collapsed. Short selling is a risky but potentially profitable strategy if you can identify fraudulent or overvalued companies. That's why we're excited to tell you about our website Differentiated Analytics, where we provide premium short selling research. We identify companies we believe to be fraudulent or overvalued and write professional grade research reports explaining the bear case in great detail. Since we began publishing our research at the beginning of 2024, a hypothetical portfolio of our short positions has underperformed the S&P 500. You also get access to our Discord server where we talk about short selling, and you can also recommend video topics. All of this is available with a premium subscription to Differentiated Analytics, and for a limited time, you can lock in 50% off by using the promo code WSM50 at the checkout page. So if you're interested in short selling, make sure to go to differentiatedanalytics.com to sign up today. The link is in the description below. And now back to the video. Immediately following the SPAC transaction, Faraday Future had a little less than $700 million of cash in the bank. This still wasn't enough for their Nevada factory project, which would cost $1 billion. So they pursued a less ambitious goal of building a smaller factory in Hanford, California. But even this less ambitious project ended up taking far longer and was more costly than expected. Faraday Future was burning through its cash at an alarming rate. By the end of 2021, their cash balance had fallen to $500 million. By the end of 2022, they had just $17 million. Just a year and a half after going public, the company again found itself on the brink of bankruptcy. By the end of 2022, investors had become far more skeptical of EV startups in general. Almost all EV SPACs had seen their share prices decline dramatically. Faraday Future was no exception. The SPAC transaction initially priced the company's shares at $10 each. Since then, the company has conducted 3 reverse stock splits. In August of 2023, they conducted a 1-for-80 reverse stock split. In March of 2024, they conducted a 1-for-3 reverse stock split. And in August of 2024, they conducted a 1-for-40 reverse stock split. The cumulative effect of these stock splits means that if you purchased 9,600 shares of Faraday stock on the day of the SPAC transaction, you would own just 1 share today. By the end of 2023, the share price had fallen to 29 cents, or about $2,800 adjusted for subsequent stock splits. That gave the company a market capitalization of approximately $160 million. By this point, the company still needed hundreds of millions of dollars to set up even a low-volume production line. But with their entire market cap now so small, raising such a large amount of capital seemed all but impossible. The company went into survival mode. They raised as much capital as possible by issuing new shares. On a split-adjusted basis, Faraday Future had 18,000 shares outstanding at the end of 2021. By the first quarter of 2025, this had increased almost 5,000-fold to 87 million. When a country funds its budget deficit by printing more currency, this inevitably leads to a hyperinflationary spiral. The new supply of currency pushes down the value of the currency, requiring you to print even more currency the next year. This creates a vicious cycle. When a company relies on dilutive equity financing, a similar dynamic can occur. Faraday Future increased its share count 5,000-fold. But as the share price declines lower and lower, the amount of capital they can raise decreases in tandem. Since 2023, Faraday Future has been living hand to mouth. Their cash burn equals almost exactly the amount of capital they raised in that same period. In other words, they burn cash as fast as they can raise it. The ferocious rate of cash burn prevents them from building up any significant cash reserve. As their ability to raise capital diminishes, they must reduce their operating expenses so as to avoid bankruptcy. At the end of 2022, the company had approximately 600 full-time employees. By the end of 2023, this had declined to 505. By the end of 2024, they had just 249. In a testament to how precarious their financial position has been, in 2024 they didn't have any cash to pay for their rent at their corporate headquarters building, and were almost evicted. At the last minute, they were able to sell some stock and avoid this. For the past 3 years, Faraday Future has been merely surviving. They can assemble FF91s at their facility in Hanford, California, but these are handmade by their few remaining employees. They lack the funding to set up mass production capabilities. In 2023, they delivered their first FF91 to a customer. Over the following 2 years, they produced a grand total of 16 vehicles, generating minuscule revenue. Since at least the end of 2022, it's been obvious that Faraday has almost zero chance of ever developing a sustainable business. Yet since then, they've raised almost $400 million of capital, almost all of which they've already burnt through. This has been supported by an online community of retail investors who profess an almost fanatical devotion to the company. Starting in 2023, Faraday Future's public announcements and statements became steadily more eccentric. For example, in May of 2023, they announced something called Mission Farad. Mission Farad will bring FF's users more innovative experiences and opportunities. It consists of 4 key components: an open-source co-creation technology platform, a co-sharing business model, a co-partnership governance structure, and a win-win product portfolio. We believe the FF User Value Co-Creation and Benefits Sharing Platform V2.0 will be a significant innovation, offering new opportunities for FF's developers and creators as well as users and investors. The platform is built on the Web 3.0 concept, which unites developers, creators, users, and investors to achieve value co-creation and benefits co-sharing. So what does any of this even mean? They created a mobile phone app. If you refer your friends to also download the app or share the company's posts on social media, you are rewarded with co-creation points. If you collect enough co-creation points, you can get invited to one of their co-creation festivals. These are events where Faraday Future executives ramble about how great the car is and how great the company is. This whole co-creation initiative appears to be little more than a marketing gimmick. They publish videos on their YouTube channel with titles such as Developer Co-Creation Day with Anita Chen. Anita Chen is one of the handful of customers who has ever purchased an FF91. The video showcases her taking delivery of the vehicle and a Faraday employee showing her the various features in the car. I don't see anything that can be considered as co-creation. Faraday Future has gone to great lengths to paint a narrative that they are somehow in solidarity with their community, both their customers and retail shareholders. For example, founder and co-CEO YT Jia has his own personal YouTube channel where he posts videos blaming the company's poor stock price performance on malicious short sellers and media bias. This portrays a narrative that he is united with the retail shareholders in a common struggle against the treacherous short sellers. It is true that there have been negative media articles about Faraday Future over the years, but for the most part, they've just been stating the facts. In 2023, the company changed its stock ticker symbol from FFIE to FFAI. AI is supposed to stand for Artificial Intelligence. Faraday Future claims to be one of the first automotive manufacturers to integrate and demonstrate generative AI capabilities in its vehicle. So what are these generative AI capabilities? There's an infotainment screen in the back seat of the car which has a Siri-like voice recognition system where you can ask it questions. We can see this on display in one of their customer delivery videos they published on their YouTube channel.
Now, the integrated AI will give you a higher understanding of, what you're watching. And you could ask it questions. It just keeps you ahead of the curve and in the know.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to ask it a question about Faraday Future.
Yeah.
Here. So go ahead and ask it a question.
How quickly does the F91 2.0 go from 0 to 100?
Information available about the F91 2.0. It is advisable to refer to official sources or contact the manufacturer for accurate details on its acceleration from 0 to 100.
The audio quality wasn't great. So if you missed it, the customer asked how fast the FF91 can accelerate from 0 to 100 miles per hour. The AI does not know and just tells him to check the manufacturer's website. The AI is not sophisticated enough to do this on its own. Faraday Future's AI marketing gimmicks have gone to the point of being almost comical. They now call their FF91 SUV an all-ability AI hypercar. The company frequently blames short sellers for its poor share price performance. For example, in late 2023, founder YT Jia published an open letter to shareholders. He explained, quote, "Although the company has successfully achieved numerous significant milestones and built a strong structural foundation, its share price and resulting market capitalization have reached the darkest moment. The company's current market capitalization is equal to around 1% of the approximately $3 billion of cash invested into the business. The company is developing a series of measures to help identify and, if found, combat potentially abusive or illegal short-selling activities." Unquote. He appears to think that because the company has burned $3 billion since inception, that somehow means it should be worth $3 billion today, despite the fact that they've only been able to produce a handful of cars. Many amateur investors started to take note of this short-selling narrative. If Faraday Future really was the victim of malicious short-selling as its CEO claims, perhaps the stock could be primed for a short squeeze. If enough retail investors organize together online and start buying Faraday Future's stock, maybe they can catalyze an epic short squeeze similar to what happened to GameStop in early 2021. The main place these people organize is a Reddit page called r/FFIE. This was Faraday Future's stock ticker symbol before they changed it to FFAI. It currently has 51,000 members. Many members joined the community hoping to profit from this epic short squeeze. But the squeeze never came, and these investors just saw the value of their shares steadily decline towards zero. The disappointment is best summed up by the following post. User PimpDaddyKane12 asks, quote, "Why is it that everyone joined for the short squeeze, and now everyone's saying long term? Like, I don't mean to be negative, but I joined for the squeeze. Everyone did, and now everyone's claiming they're here for the long haul. I don't know about y'all, but that sounds sus to me. I don't plan on pulling my investment, but I'm locked in at $1.70 per share, and this has been a horrible turnaround." Unquote. Eventually, some of the members of the forum woke up to the reality that the much anticipated short squeeze will never materialize. Here, user Agitated Sand opines, quote, "I bought in during Ape AI generation phase for the gamble. Lost $1,000, who cares? These guys are frauds. Move on and accept that. You got had. It's no business, it's a sham. They made so much money off investors they could afford to produce a couple life-sized toy cars." Unquote. While some investors are willing to admit their mistakes, others refuse to come to terms with the mounting losses on their Faraday Future position. Disheartened by the increasing volume of negative comments on r/FFIE, a few of the most fanatical shareholders created a new subreddit called Faraday FFAI. Here they post memes and predictions that the massive short squeeze is just around the corner. They encourage each other to keep buying more shares. Anybody who makes a negative post about the stock is swiftly banned. These fanatical investors soak up Faraday's near-continuous stock offerings. While they don't supply enough capital to bring the FF91 to mass production, they provide just enough money for the company to keep the lights on. And of course, for the senior executives to pay themselves multi-million-dollar salaries. Alright guys, that wraps it up for this video. What do you think about Faraday Future? Let us know in the comments section below. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Wall Street Millennial, signing out.